I'm Jeannie Di Bon, and let's get Zebra strong. So one of the requests I've had is sitting. We seem to struggle a lot with sitting, and in particular, people find it hard to breathe when they're sitting. And I just wanted to look into that a little bit more and maybe give you some tips if this is something you struggle with as well. So how to sit when you're hypermobile. So I'm just going to turn sideways so you can see me side on. So obviously, if you're not used to sitting without a back support and you've been used to having back support, the muscles haven't had to work, because I've been leaning back against a chair and my muscles are not working. They don't have to hold me up. So you can just rest here. If you're asked to then sit up, those muscles are going to start having to work, and they might complain and they might ache. Okay? Now, the thing with sitting back like this, of course, if you're not used to working those back muscles, because we're used to having a back support, you might default to kind of sitting like this, where you could pretend that you can almost feel the back support against you. But in fact, we're kind of hanging into our back. Now, the problem with this posture, apart from postural issues, is that everything in the front, the diaphragm and the lungs and the ability to take air in is being squashed. You can probably see that I'm much shorter on the front than I am on the back. So when I try and take a breath in, it's really hard because everything is squashed together. So this isn't going to help us with breathing when we're seated. Now you get the other extreme in that we try and overcompensate this posture, but we end up forcing the upright position and we end up in something like this. So now you can see that I've arched my back quite a bit, and what's happened here is that this has got shorter, this has got longer, and everything's been pushed into the front of my body. So the diaphragm as well, the internal organs have been pushed forward. And so again, if I try and take a deep breath, it's really hard because there's, again, no space. I've pushed. It's like trying to shove something into all your junk into a cupboard and shut the door. Yeah, it's like doing that. Everything's been pushed forward and you can't breathe. So there's something about the positioning that's going to impact our breathing. Okay, and in my opinion, where does that come from? It comes from pelvic positioning. If you notice, when I was slumping, it was the pelvis that tipped back and caused the collapse here. When I over-exaggerated it because I was trying to sit up straight, look at the position of the pelvis. It comes into an anterior tilt, forcing the rest of the spine to come forward with it. So what's going on in your pelvis is going to impact the ability to breathe, because when the pelvis is in the middle of those two extremes, the rest of the body can kind of, I don't like using the word hang, but if we're talking about internal organs, they do kind of hang inside, a bit like a coat hanger. Everything's kind of hanging and it's all got its appropriate space and ability to move as you breathe. So in the middle, all of a sudden, I can take a breath because my diaphragm now is not being compromised forward or back. My lungs are not being compromised. And on top of that, my shoulders now have the ability to rest on the pelvis. So I think it comes down to the pelvic positioning is really, really important. The ability to allow the weight of your body. I talk a lot about using gravity and allowing the body to settle, which is easily done when you're lying on the ground, but when you're sitting on a stool or a chair, can you still allow the pelvic bones to settle into the chair so that you're not trying to hold yourself up with your diaphragm? You're actually settling the pelvis into the chair. So this bit's got a bit of movement. Okay, so I think first we've got to get weight into the pelvis and the feet. And secondly, we have to feel that we can move the pelvis. I can rock forward on those sitting bones and I can rock back on the sitting bones. And we really got to play with this and find that place right in the middle where everything can then settle in that sort of gravitational pull. Because then I can take a breath, my shoulders can melt, and the pelvis can start to take the weight of the rest of the structure rather than me trying. Can you see the difference of me trying to hold myself up? When you try and hold yourself up, it's coming up into that diaphragm. We're putting tension in here. It's going to be really, really hard to breathe. So pop your hand there and see if you can just let it go. Yeah. And if you're worried about doing this, without a back support, start off with a back support. With my clients, we start off with the back support and we practice maybe 10-20 seconds initially without a back support, because it's hard work if you haven't been used to doing it. So I hope that's useful. Let me know in the box below, leave me some comments, and until next time, stay zebra strong.